Second watch.
Welcome back to the second watch, dear viewers and fellow watchmen. We are back from North Texas Con. We were gone last week. Probably met most of you at the con. What a great time that was. Of course, I came back to a mountain of work with my really real job away from the fun, you know. But, glad to be back. Glad to be talking with Gary and Brian and the rest of you. Yeah, we're going to be talking a little bit about the con and some of the things we learned from watching Game Masters, who clearly have been doing con stuff for a very long time. It was a fun experience and quite the learning experience. Gary, Brian, how have your week been? How's your week?
Go for it, Brian. You go.
Let's see. Driving back, dodging traffic and bad weather. And for all those that were still behind at the con, there was a lot of really bad like derecho storms and such. So hopefully everybody was all right with that. And some of those stuck at the hotel got a chance to get some gaming in. But no, just getting caught up with the work. That's the longest time I've taken off of work in a long time, even though it was just, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So it was like all three of us were like, yeah, a little tired still, like kind of catching up. But what a wonderful experience. It was great.
That's because we're old, man.
Real quick, Disco Barbarian left not a super chat, but a Rumble rant. I'm actually paying attention today. Disco, $5. Thank you so much, man. Yard Dog brothers and sword sisters. Second watch ends the week. Now it's time to chill. Looking forward to a post-con breakdown. Well, Disco, you have come to the right episode because that's exactly what we're going to do tonight. Thank you so much, man. We appreciate it.
I did actually get some gaming in this week. I've played 2 games post-con week, just so everybody knows. I haven't rested on my laurels. I'm still out there doing the thing.
I got a couple games in. I was dead tired on Monday night. Eric ran his Atomic Hedgehog on my Discord server. He ran his 11 o'clock at night from my time hostile game. So I was there. I was like 50%, 60%. I was just basically letting Atmos make all the decisions. So whatever you want to do, man, just tell me what to roll. And then of course the row.
We finished that.
Yeah.
We don't need to get into that. I'm glad it's over, and thank you everybody for playing with me. It was great. And there we go. Enough said about that one. But we also played. Have you ever had a campaign that you just walk away from and you're like, "Fuck, man"? Like you just have like a list of things that if you could change, you would change. And I know that for the most part, people had fun, but it could have and it was all on me. Anyway, but yeah, and then I got to play so we did another expedition in our Western Reaches game. We had our first character make level 2. There is a cleric in the village that can heal.
Finally.
I want to say one thing, but I don't think Durka. But I don't think I'm supposed to say anything until the 16th. But something else happened for the first time. So anyway, other than that, man, I was curious. We all went to the con. I know we're going to talk about our experiences, but what did you buy? And first off, hello to everybody. Chubby, Durka, Flint, how's it going, man? Glad you're here. We met all you guys. It was a lot of fun. Hit like.
Hit like, subscribe, bell. I am always forgetting. No, it was great meeting everybody. Before we get into the stuff the money we spent, just on a personal level, it was kind of surreal being in the same room with some of you guys, because it was kind of a running joke for me inside my head. Is like, I know you by your internet handle, but not your real name. And we were in the Blackwall's Horde Wars game, and we're sitting next to this guy Thraxus, who I've interacted with before. Right. Didn't know it was him until he looked at me and goes, "Hey, are you Lord Mattius?" And I'm like, "Yeah, who are you?" It was kind of funny, but he was a cool dude. I was really glad to meet Thraxus as well. So I hope he's watching tonight. If not, I'm sure I'll catch him on something like Double D or whatever some of the other streams I've seen him on. So, but yeah, that was just
Flint,
such a surreal experience.
It's
yeah,
kind of like a
Flint.
bunch of GI Joes all getting together and like, oh wait, you're Snake Eyes. Wait, I'm Clutch. I just drive the Jeep. Like everybody's like figuring out. But once we all kind of got together, the pseudonyms kind of fell by the wayside, and then it was just Rob and Todd and Matt.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah, we met. I feel like we met everybody. I'll go down the quick list. We had drinks. Jesus, we with everyone. The Black Lodge guys were there. They shared a few drinks with them. They talked about the nuclear war game we played on their
Which
show.
was hilarious. Yeah.
Which was hilarious. I tell you what, the first thing I learned is that Black Lodge games taught me that any game can become a role-playing game. It doesn't matter what game you're playing. They can all become role-playing games. So that was great. And then, man, we spent a lot of time with Chubby, with Flint. I don't want to forget anybody. We hung out with Rob Alderman. He great guy. Me and him talked for a while. Geez, who else? I know I'm forgetting everybody.
We hung out with Erudite.
Yeah, he just put something out. Go check it out.
We got to know Todd a little bit better because we really
from
only
Horde
talked
Wars.
to him. Yeah, we really only talked to him when we interviewed him when he was in shill mode. So when we got to actually sit down and I was like buying drinks for people, and he goes, "Oh, I'll have a bourbon," and I knew I was going to like him immediately. I was like, "Oh, you're a bourbon man, fantastic!" So it was great to talk to him. Everybody. I mean, it was great. I mean, and that's not including some of the luminaries we bumped into too. That was really, really a pleasure. It was just really cool.
Well, if you're on Twitter, like we didn't get to spend time talking with Kelsey the way the Black Lodge guys have a great interview, by the way, that they did at North Texas Con with her. But she was really nice, and she took time to talk to everybody that wanted to talk to her. She made a point to kind of step over to Matt and take a picture with all of us. So that was and that was probably like, I really did. It's so funny at a gaming convention, right? Like she comes walking in, and the whole day I was like, Matt Finch was there. There were other dudes there that like I really like. You know what I mean? And I do admire. Yeah, but the mood didn't change when they walked in, right? When she walked in, it was like every geek spider sense went off. The fuck? I must serve my queen. Where is she? And it was crazy.
We met a
lot
of people.
Great hugger, by the way. Great hugs. She's so warm and empathetic. She is just but you're right, Gary. The minute she was going through, it was, it's kind of rock star status, and it's earned. It's definitely one of those things that it's not just great design, but it's great engagement with the player base, the people that are rooted. I mentioned to her, I had a chance to talk with her a little bit at the bar, probably, I think it was like Saturday. And I told her how much I respected and thought how cool it was whenever you're looking at how Shadow Dark is promoted on the Arcane Library's website. It's not the Ennies that she promotes first. It's actually the Three Castles Award.
Yes.
And the Three Castles Award is the award, of course, that she won, at North Texas Role Playing Con. It was the first award. So that tells you also just how much she values what Gary Oliver and crew put together. Absolutely incredible facilitation for an event that probably, of course, has a lot of diehards, but has a lot of rookies. We were all rookies. We talked to a lot of people that said the same thing. This is my first con. And by the way, badges are already on sale for next year, and already over half of the capacity have sold.
Yeah. So
that's insane.
That's gonna be rough.
I already told my wife, actually. I'm like, so there might be a purchase. Father's Day is like around the corner. And she's like, I thought you were buying a new smoker. Why can't I do both? But yeah, if you're interested in going, and if you're into old school and you can make it, it's totally worth it. Like I immediately felt welcome. In fact, I went to the long con table and talked to some of the guys there. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
And I just like, hey, I talked to some of you guys on your Discord server. I'm new here, and they just kind of pointed me to the a couple places to check out, allowed us to get into some games because we didn't buy pre-registration badges, so we were at the mercy of whoever was playing whatever. And I just want to say thank you to Blackwall. He had room for us at his Horde Wars game. Special thank you to James Radji, who I met, my idol. He let me play in his play test of one of the craziest things I've ever encountered in my life as a role player.
No
And
spoilers.
Rob, no spoilers. I'm not going to spoil. Rob Alderman ran an impromptu Walking Dead RPG game Saturday night for us. I mean, it was cool.
Well, and
It
that
was
was just a pickup. That was like Rob was like, I haven't run a game and then he looked, you guys want to play a game? What do you want to play? And then I was like, well, whatever you want. And then he's like, we're doing Walking Dead. I was like, all right, I'd heard okay things about the game, but it was a lot of fun. And when we get to the part about, DMs and the different things we saw, like Rob that was a really fun game. That was a really fun.
Very animated.
So, very animated.
Yeah.
Yes. So go ahead. I'm sorry. Did I interrupt you? My bad.
No, I was just gonna say you could tell that he hadn't run a game in a long time because he
Yeah.
had all of that engagement, that enthusiasm just spilling out. I mean, to see basically a DM or a game master almost crowd surf his players,
Yes.
freaking hilarious, freaking hilarious. I mean,
Yeah.
just in it to win it. And one of us was just the feeling, man. It was great.
Yeah. No, it was a lot of fun. Um, what'd you buy, Matt?
Oh, well, I
What's
had
your
to talk.
con haul?
Okay. Well, I don't have them like within reach, but I picked up a Gods of the Forbidden North shirt for myself and my son, as well as some dice for him, and I got a complimentary dice bag for him. He's all excited. He wore it. He's like, "This is a cool shirt." And I got a copy of Shadow Rim from Chubby. Thank you very much, man. Very kind of you. I just bought all the maps for it, so I'm going to be good to go when those come in. That's a great book. I finished it today. I picked up Hyena Child. It's published by Gazer Press. It's a third-party Lamentations publisher. They've done some really interesting stuff. So my Lamentations collection is almost complete. I'm still hunting down some old stuff. What else I can't remember the name of the company, RPG Ramblings or something like that. They put out a Shadow Dark module and supplement all centered around cults. They were doing like a 2-for-1 kind of thing, like discount. So I just said, you know what, I'll pick those up. I feel like I'm missing something, but I don't. I think
But I'll
that's
get
it.
to it. I'll get to it.
Okay.
I know what you forgot, but I'm going to talk about it.
Okay.
So it's all right.
Brian,
Brian,
I know what you're going to talk about, Gary, and I'll
what'd
leave
you
it
buy?
for you because I know.
All right. What did you get?
I bought the thing that I'm sure you'll cover, and I
Yep.
appreciate you forwarding me to that experience, and we'll unpack that one in a little bit because it was great. I bought a lot of stuff for my wife. Because this was me going off to do this thing. I got 2 games this weekend, one with her and her group on Sunday, Shadow Dark, and then I got my paid game tomorrow. But I knew I could not go to the convention without getting something for her. So it's always great to see the. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm sorry to interrupt. I just want we were just talking about Euthraxis. Great, great to have you here. It's awesome. It was great meeting you, man. Thanks for showing up.
Yeah, absolutely. When you go to the con, and what a wonderful experience being in that con room. That it had a good flow. It wasn't congested. It was you had like the dice couple that had all the handmade dice out of San Antonio. Of course, I got my wife a dice tray. I got her a D20 wine cork. I bought a Barsh book. there was a BX compilation for like $10 for a hardback, and it's got 6 adventures in it. I love stuff like that. I spent a lot of money on alcohol.
Yeah.
But it was good. I had my
Yeah.
first bourbon in several years, and it was delicious. I can only have a fourth of a double, and thank you, Matthew. You're absolutely the tank. I had my first beef in a couple of years with In and Out, so that's what I bought. But also just the experience of being with both of you guys. It was absolutely. I was telling you guys in chat earlier today. It feels like we were at camp. And it's like, man, I want to go back to camp. Like it was 5 days and 4 nights of being at role playing geek con camp. Who doesn't want to stay there? So, but I actually spent more money on my wife and stuff and baubles for her than I did for myself. So,
Yep. All right. So real quick, cigars, baby. Thank you, Erudite. He brought fine cigars and was happy to share. And it is always nice. So, Chubby wasn't there selling things, but he was there handing things out. And the first thing that I got was this Warlords of Gavardia, which I believe I haven't even had a chance to crack it, but I've cracked his other one. But it's got a bunch of axe stuff in it. It's a sort of mini settings. It's great. I'm going to use it. I've already read through it, and you can just read through it, and it'll have like their holidays, or it'll talk about transportation or whatever, and you can just steal all kinds of little ideas from that. Also have the player companion for Shadow Dark. This is pretty fucking cool. Lots of new classes. Yeah, I don't know. Go get it. It's great. If you're a Shadow Dark player. But what I'm really most excited about is I got a physical copy. This little tiny little fucking book.
That's what
Hellmarch.
You're right. Yep, I did get. I totally forgot about Hellmarch. Yes,
I didn't.
Yeah.
Go, Gary.
All right. So Hellmarch, written by Alchemic Raker. You can find him. You want to. People can really fool you, right? You can think something. You can talk to someone on the internet or watch some things and all that. And you can think something or have general impressions, and you meet somebody in person, and it's kind of like, it's not like that. Anyway, I thought this guy was gonna be like, what, dude? Anyway, he was so nice. He was great. Alchemic Raker. He had some Legos set up as a battle map. You had troops and a dragon and cannons and trebuchets. And as I played this, and you understand how it works with Shadow Dark and OSC, really kind of any game, like the browser arguments make more sense. Like, I think they're right. This was an integral part to the early game. And if you're playing the early game without, if you're playing the early games without this, I think you're missing part of it. So anyway, Hellmarch, please, it's on Drive-Thru RPG.
We're gonna have him on. I've been talking. I'm waiting for some confirmation, but we will probably have him on in about a month ish. Like I said, we have some confirmation in terms of his schedule and whatnot, but it's definitely worth chatting about the wargaming aspect because back in the day when I was first running games, and learning the game, I was running pretty much, Back Me. That was like my first real game. And the companion book has all that siege engine stuff in it. And it's really just like one giant calculation, which isn't a whole lot of fun. And,
Not fun at all.
I never had, it's, older and wiser, I can sort of see the benefits of it. But I never had like an old timer, grog show me the game, So I just was kind of learning as I go. And I always sort of had like this separation between the war game stuff like Warhammer 40K, you know, things like that, and D&D always sort of seemed separate, but I've always wanted to, you know, mash them together. It wasn't until, you know, I got older and started really exploring other games and getting more into the OSR. I was like, oh, there is that kind of stuff. It's always been here. And I do Hell March just makes it easy to like present it. You know what I mean? And so I'm looking forward to having him on.
There's a couple I think I will be using it extensively. However, there's a few plot points or something, like there's a few things that I have on a calendar that need to happen in the game world before a bunch of troops can be running around. But all my players should be warned, you will be in mass combat shortly.
We have $2 from Disco Barbarian. Which is better for mass combat, Hell March or Horde Wars?
I don't know, because we didn't do mass
we're not
combat
qualified.
in Horde Wars.
Yeah. Our experience with Horde Wars was sort of like a scenario, and we went through this dungeon and learned the basics of the game. So so I can't really speak to whether or not the mass combat rules would be better or not. But I will say this, though. I think Hell March is written in such a way that it's compatible to like most OSR, if not all OSR systems. And I don't know if Horde Wars can do that. So I'll say
basically, I sat down and we talked for a while, and he kind of explained to me the timeline of how Hell March came about. And it really was a lot of trial and error with the original chainmail and sort of translating and research. And then he did a book which was really a chainmail translation. And then Hell March is sort of the modernization of, I think there might be one change he told me about in the rules, but it's really just putting that in there. And yes, Hell March is all mass combat, but it's supposed to go with your other games. And I just don't know enough about Horde Wars. I enjoyed Horde Wars when we played. It was fast moving, and I think, I mean, I haven't had a chance to look at it enough, but I think if you're somebody who really enjoys like the tactical combat and the miniatures and all that kind of stuff, I think Horde Wars might be your game.
Yeah.
You know, so
I would agree with that.
Yeah. Anyway, Hell March was my winner for like the things I got. And, you know, I wound up not buying anything because every time I almost bought an $80 copy of the Dungeon Master's Guide, I talked myself out of it.
You were back and forth. Like I thought for sure you were going like Saturday. I'm like, he's going to walk out with it Saturday. I was looking for one for you too. I was trying to find
tight ass I am. I still have that cash that I was going to use for it clipped in my wallet. Like it's still there. I'm just like,
well, I was hovering over a Hyperborea for quite a bit, but that was like a $70 book, and it was only for the player's handbook. And I'm like, I can't get into another system. I already got plenty that I haven't even played yet. You know,
I don't know, man. Don't you think that even if I was looking at Hyperborea, or how did Hyperborea? That's how the guy was saying it.
I know, but that sounds like you have some sort of intestinal issue. That's why I like Hyperborea.
Diarrhea.
That's why I like Hyperborea better.
Yeah.
Wasn't it like Astonishing Swordsman of Hyperborea?
At one point, it's been through like 3 sort of editions, and I'm real curious about it. And here's the weird thing, Matt. If they would have, you know, it was a $70 book, I think. Was it 70 or 60?
Something like that.
Yeah, it was somewhere. So it was a fairly expensive book, and you're like, and they didn't have the GM's guide. If they would have had the GM's guide, you would have spent another $140 right there. And maybe. I also, from everything I've seen of that game and just flipping through it and looking at the art, it's another one of those games that I would want to go through, and I'm taking this, I'm taking that, you know, and add it to my game. So,
well, while we were enjoying North Texas Con and each other's company and the company of everyone in our chat right now, something arrived at my doorstep, and it got my son all excited. And I got a phone call, and he's, Dad, a box arrived with Adventure Conqueror King system, Imperial imprint. And I'm like, don't touch it.
I love you, but I will not love you if you touch that.
So that's my new passion right now, is to read through that. And because that's a book already, I'm like, I'd like to see this. I'd like to pull this. And if my Gods of the Forbidden North campaign takes off, and my players really start embracing the downtime possibilities, I have a feeling I'm going to be consulting that book a lot, because you have, I mean, everyone knows I love the rule cyclopedia, nostalgia and all that, but it doesn't go far enough sometimes. And Alexander McCrease has, and so I that's the one I'm going to be diving into a lot.
I think you're going to dive into that, and we're going to begin to have Acts 2 episodes.
We probably will.
We probably won't mean to, but I love that fight. Like I was telling you when we were at North Texas Con, that I feel like my PDFs are dog-eared. Like I've gone through it so much. And I'm glad you finally have it. I wish you could read PDFs. So Brian, you need to jump on that train.
I've had the PDF for a while. I do love the idea of having the Acts 2 Judges Journal at my table for my 5e game, just to fuck with my players a little bit, and just to have stuff in there that I can just pull from for emergent or random or reference, because that thing it's a hoss. And when you see it out there on the unboxings, and it's like, it also just looks beautiful, and it's just so much content. So I'm a reference whore. I love having things that I can pull from, and it kind of is the apex predator now of anything that aspires to further the AD&D mythos to full realization.
All right, we got a super chat from Thraxis. Thank you very much, man. $4.99. Horde Wars was fun. I think it will fill that niche that MCDM is trying to fill, with the key difference being that Horde Wars is an actual complete game. Dude, I think you're 100% right. I think the problem with MCDM is it's trying to do some sort of like Critical Role-esque kind of thing. I don't full disclosure, I don't know a whole lot about it. Draw steel or whatever, but what I've seen has not been all that impressive. But I do agree. If you want something 4E-esque, Horde Wars is your game. Thanks for the super chat, man. Appreciate it.
I do think it's different enough, though. I don't want to give anybody the impression it's some kind of 4E clone, because they're using a D12 system. That was the thing about Horde Wars. This is just going to be a random conversation all night, isn't it? We're going back and forth.
That's it is. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen.
That's what we do.
Thing about Horde Wars that I'm sure if I played it more, there would be other parts of the system, but just the core mechanic, using the D12 and having the 12, be a critical hit. I think I had pointed it out. We were sitting around the bar that night, and I was like, I had 3, you had 4, you had 5. And then, the critical hits trigger all these different, things. So I do think it's gonna be some people's game. I really do.
My grandma contracted MCDM at the hospital and died. I'm sorry to hear that, Chubby.
Bro, Chubby was the champ. Chubby, I remember
he kind of the MVP. He really was. For me, everywhere I saw him, I had a smile.
Chubby he's like that football player that plays both sides of the ball, and then right at the end of football season, he goes right into basketball. There was there was one day, I swear to God, I saw him, he's like, I'm on my way to a game. And I'd see him a few hours later, on my way to a game.
Yep.
Got it. He, if anybody, really squeezed everything he could out of the con. It was Chubby. So congratulations, you win the trophy. Dude, there was a lot of game playing. There was. So what was the favorite game you played? What was of the games you played? Come on, Matt. That's easy enough.
That's easy. So I guess we are going to get into it. Everyone, get your X cards out. So James Raggi, you know, I'm like such a fanboy. Like I was like kind of nervous talking to him, even though I like published a book, you know, through him, because I just really admire him. He's been through the ringer, and the content and the quality of the work, like he does not really compromise on any of that stuff. And that's just someone I admire. And he's a free speech guy, you know. I love that, you know. So Gary, being the more sociable one than I, got him laughing, and we were talking, and then Raji just looked at me. He's like, "Tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock in this room. Show up with a second level character. I'll get you into my game." And I'm like, "What game is that?" He goes, "Oh, I'm play testing the Sex Dungeon of Dr. Intercourse." And I was like, "Sweet, that sounds awesome." So, that was. It was my favorite game for a couple of reasons. Number one, Raji just knows how to horrify you, and the laughter at the table was a combination of hilarious stuff happening, but also nervous giggles. He's a really good game master, and the adventure itself was really cool. I kind of think it went a little long, but I mean, he was play testing some stuff, right? So I wasn't expecting perfection or anything like that, but that was just a blast to be a part of. And at one point he actually looked me right in the eye and introduced like this really tough moral issue. I'm not going to get into it because we'll probably get struck from YouTube, and wherever else we are at. But I was just like, oh my God. Well, I'm playing an evil magic user, so sure, I'll take the coin. And that was fun. It was a lot of fun. I can't say anymore because it's just, anyway, that was my favorite. And it was,
You said enough at the bar, and it
oh
was
yeah,
plenty enough for us
yes,
to get an understanding that you finally had a chance to engage with a creator in the native environment of what you both enjoy. But you know, for me, one of the first I guess fun moments for me was when we first got to the con, and he was just sitting at his table surrounded by all those beautiful books. And were just like, dude, that's him.
I
And I
know.
was like, and then up there some, you know, basic, you know, greets and such, you know, and of course I'm just going to jump in it because I don't care. I'm like, hey, I want to get a picture of you guys. That really, I think, really set up what was a great experience for you
Yeah.
as getting to be a player, you know, for a guy who runs so many games and getting to kind of fall back into the love of being able to enjoy the experience that
Oh,
someone else provides for you.
well, yeah, I have multiple copies of the rule book, a couple off alternative covers, and then 2 copies of the core. The one that he signed will never go to my table. That's going to be up on my shelf. But that was, yeah. So meeting James Raggi and playing his game was the highlight for me.
And Lamentations also won the 3
Oh,
castles this year.
for
Yeah. A true relation of the Great Virginia
this,
Disastrum 1633.
yep, it's a box set with
Beautiful.
it's a box set with 3 books. One of them being a Monster Man, another one's being like an index to find stuff, and you get all kinds of other stuff with it, a DM screen, all kinds of a map and character sheets. It's a beautiful book. Or set, I should say. It was well deserved award. So that was nice to see.
I almost bought it until I realized I wouldn't be able to make it home. Wouldn't
Yeah,
have enough money.
yeah.
Is that the one you were telling me there was only like 45 copies left or some craziness like that?
Yeah.
Like they were all like all the copies that he had left were stacked up next to the table.
Yes. Yep.
That was yeah. So and it looks that is one thing I'll say when we went past Raji's table and all the books were out there and there's a lot of them, like they all look sharp. Even if it's not
art
like
production.
really your taste or anything, because it's sometimes it's not to my taste. But everything was quality, you know. So since Shadow Rim was not given 3 Castles award, I have to assume this book is truly magnificent. Oh, Chubbs.
That's all right. What we saw from Chubbs, that presentation was. I'm not going to steal thunder here, but that was I called my wife and told her, I was like, man, vampires, modern, Shadow Dark. And she was just like, ooh, when do we get to play that? I was like, well, I don't know, but hopefully soon.
Yep.
Indeed, Zax, indeed. It's the best out there. And before y'all think it's about sex and tentacles, these guys, I talked them into signing up for the Obelisk of the Anti-Pharaohs, an LOTFP module. There was
Oh yeah,
none of that
we
there.
did play Lamentations.
Yeah, there was none of that there, but it was weird, right? And it had some weird futuristic stuff. And then my magic user got possessed by some 18th level magic user and started kicking everyone's ass until Gary's halfling knifed me. But that was,
dude, you were possessed by like a Lich King or something. You had to go. I actually killed Matt in 2 games.
Was it 2 games that you killed him?
I thought, didn't I kill you in the joust? I thought there was another game where I killed you as well.
No. I got taken out of the joust early. I named my character because there was 2 jousts, 2 tournaments, and both I got out. So. Yeah.
And I didn't kill you.
Mm-hmm.
We played Lamentations and I did kill you.
Wearing a golden toga. You
did deserve it. Yeah, there's not enough naked halflings in role-playing games, and I am to change that. 2025 is the year of the halfling, motherfucker. We're gonna let all hang out. But I love everybody wants to talk shit.
You might be one of the best halfling players I've seen. Like you got it down. You can tell you're a 5 Shires guy.
Yeah, bro, I love the 5 Shires. That is anyway. Back to the con. I'm trying to think.
I survived. Hold on a second. Sorry, Chubby. I think I survived till the end of the nuclear war game.
Okay, so the nuclear war game. First off, Chubby, I survived. Matt survived. You survived. I think Ireland was eventually completely wiped out.
Yes.
And Brian was wiped out. And deservedly so.
South Africa was dropped.
I swear, don't do
the voice.
Don't do the voice.
That's the reason why you died.
As soon as you did the voice, it was like we didn't even have to look at each other. Everybody was shooting at you. It was just no. It wasn't because of what you said. It was just like, no, we're not living with this. Kill them, and they did.
That's the point.
Mission accomplished. That game, I really wish I wouldn't have played. You guys don't understand. So I go up to me and Flint were talking. Flint's such a good guy. Me and Flint were talking, and the Black Lodge guys came by to like everybody that was there and said, hey, we're running the game. We're going to play this nuclear war card game. Who wants to play it? Everybody got up and left. But me and Flint were mid-conversation, right? So we just kind of hung out and kept on talking. I think it must have been another 15, 20 minutes. And then I go up to the room and I'm thinking my night's over, because the game already started. I don't really want to do anything. So I take my night medicine and I'm reading a book and I get this text from Matt that says, bring me a drink. And I'm like, go fuck yourself, bro. My shoes are off.
I thought you were still in the bar, man.
No, I know. That's why. I was like, what? I had my shoes off. I'm like, I'm not bringing you a drink. And then I was like, well, fuck it. I'll get one too. So I went downstairs. Totally forgot I had taken my medicine. I grabbed a drink for me. I grabbed a drink for you. I watch you guys play and I'm sipping on my drink when it dawns on me. Durka. When it dawns on me that I think I kind of feel my medicine kicking in. I'm about halfway through the drink and somebody says, hey, sit down. We're going to start over for Gary. I was like, no, guys, it's okay. It's okay. At one point I leaned over to Todd and I was like, Todd, I can't even read this card, dude. You gotta read this. Anyway, it was a funny game. The Matt and I always forget the other guy's name. Nick. Those guys were hilarious. And I would say anytime you get a chance to game with those guys, you're going to be thoroughly entertained. Chubby's sneaky, man. You got to watch out for Chubby in games. He's playing to win quietly sometimes. What nobody knows is the the one thing I had on the board, because all I got were nuke cards. I didn't get any platforms. Everything I could aim was aimed at Todd. I just had this feeling somehow he would be one of the last ones on the board. And I just
Yeah.
But that was a fun game. 1 second, guys. There's about to be noise. Sorry.
No, it's all good. Yeah, I was just gonna say my strategy on that was because Matt and Nick, they were doing this whole Northern Southern Ireland thing with the accents. I was in tears. I was laughing so damn hard.
Yeah.
And so I was just waiting for them to just kill themselves, to let them do their own thing. But I was I knew Chubby was up to something, but I was not getting the cards. So but it was a fun game. It was a fun game.
For a game made in 1981,
Yeah.
and
Think about
for that to be brought out and us all being able to run with it. And I am the kind of person that I do turn almost any game into a role playing game. So like I just jump in it and just
yeah.
immediately add character. But it was just very funny and gave us all a chance to just enjoy and be fans of the experience of just gaming.
Yeah.
And not doing a tabletop role playing game, but just
Yeah.
just slam drinks. Spencer brought that, and I knew Spencer was for real and hardcore. Whenever he brought out the dice, and I'm like, yeah, that's Luzaki game science dice. Like I get it. He's like, then he said, oh wait, one of these is custom made for nuclear war, and I'm like, Spencer, I see you. Like you are a competitive feller. So it's good stuff there.
So Brian, what was your I guess favorite game that you attended?
I mean, gosh, unpacking. I was in a Shadow Dark game where the adventure was Castle Caldwell. So that was interesting to go in, and I signed up for that game just because I wanted to see it facilitated and a little bit of the con experience. I know we'll touch base on that a little bit later. Gary was mentioning that. I did obviously the Lamentations game with you guys. We got to play in 3 games together as players.
Yeah.
And each one of them was a different type of game, which was great. And each one of them, I tried to get a chance to just do 4D role playing as much as I could, and really just stick and land in character. But my favorite experience was most certainly the Walking Dead pickup game.
That's my second. Yeah.
And maybe because it wasn't planned, it wasn't a situation that we were crossing our fingers hoping we could get into the game. It wasn't one of those things that we were having to debate on whether or not who was going to play or what. It just happened. It just, like all great things within this hobby, it was just emergent.
Yeah.
And Rob was just on board. And I realize also that game has a hidden advantage, the Walking Dead game. I know some people probably have certain perceptions about its limitations to fulfill its core genre and IP, but that game can be used for Zombieland or Shaun of the Dead at a moment's notice, as observed by the flaming grizzly bear chasing an elderly priest on a mini bike. Yeah, that game was super fun. Absolutely.
I will say the way Rob ran that game, it gave me a new appreciation for it.
I can see that.
He was very animated and he really got into the story and he understood. And I think a lot of like OSR guys, I think they look down on dice pool systems, and I don't understand why, because they're actually really cool when you understand how to use them. And like he did, he would just be like, what are you doing? And you sort of have like this back and forth to like develop the scene, and then you look at the dice and like, okay, well, it didn't work out exactly the way you wanted it, like when my character was on the little moped, whatever it was, and I screwed up, so I like, oh yeah, I guess I hit a log and I go flying off the bike, and now a grizzly bear is about to eat me. So yeah, it was cool. It was. Really
I have to
cool.
give Rob a compliment also, even additionally beyond that, because I was so into the 4D for that Allie character.
You did it, yeah.
And I really wanted to just kind of run with that and see how it played in that world, despite there being a lot of differences in the style and approach. So whereas we kind of had more some meme and beer and pretzels and wild fun over the top, that was also my favorite, just for seeing how tension can play out in that game with that last moment on the Zoom with the sniper rifle, with Gary's character and the bear, and just kind of looking in between those things. So it was Rob just absolutely found a way to still take different styles at that table. And that's something I think we can all talk. I mean, we're obviously going to talk about like what makes a good con game. What are the elements? What are the behaviors? And how do you know? Like, is it more than just vibes? So
Yeah. Well, we're going to be having Rob on next week to talk about, well, whatever
Nice.
he wants to talk about. We're definitely going to be talking about book 3 of Gods of the Forbidden North. We're going to be talking about, I'm sure, The Walking Dead and whatever the heck he wants to talk about. He is more than just a friend of the show. He's a friend.
Yeah.
Like as soon as I saw him,
so
it
many
wasn't
friends.
even like, yeah, I can't remember what it was. I think I was in the vendor hall or whatever, just kind of looking around. Out of the corner of my eye, I see someone pointing at me, and I look, and it's him, and like it was,
No,
so.
man, I that Walking Dead game was by far my favorite of the con. And I do have to say, I think there's evidence in that game that I am the worst player ever. I don't know why. I have this like as soon as I really think it's possible I'm the worst player ever. Cause like as soon as I could tell that Brian wanted to get serious about shit, all of a sudden my character became like hot chick action hero. You know what I mean? Like I just couldn't help myself.
That's part
I
of
could
conflict.
not help myself.
No,
So
you're not the worst player. That's great. You had an enjoyable experience.
But I
That's
think
the idea.
I think that game was really good. And in fact, I will show you this because I don't keep a lot of stuff like around, a lot of gaming stuff around me typically. It's all upstairs. This has made it to the bottom shelf since we played The Walking Dead. The Year Zero engine is it's interesting. I'm more interested in it now. I think it's the second time. I tried to run Tales from the Loop, and you're always, if you've never played it, or played it with somebody who's played it, you're always like, I don't even know. Hope I was doing that right. That kind of thing. But I'm definitely more interested in that now. Chubby Funster got me killed. Lies. I think Chubby Funster was responsible for quite a few PC deaths over the weekend, from what I understand. Do not trust him. Erudite,
totally
we got to. If you're ever, whatever con Erudite goes to next, just go sit next to him and have a drink. You just talk about somebody that's good to hang out with. Like,
Yeah.
It's so easy, man.
Yeah.
Relatable, down to earth.
Yeah.
So many new connections and like very authentic people, even people that we did not have. For some reason, it seemed almost every night we wound up just kind of taking over that one part of the bar at the back, and it's just over and over, and just that swell. But even whenever I would go up to the bar and I had a chance to speak with Alan Hammock, and I probably had about a good 10 minutes just talking with him about, what a difference his creativity made for a summer of my life with Ghost Tower Inverness. But just meeting people from all around the country, and like I was looking forward to getting signatures, getting my Tomb of Adventure design, but I don't know what Matt Finch looks like. And so like Gary, you were like my secret weapon. Like that's so and so, there's the smoking area. I guarantee you Matt Finch will be up by that smoking area. And sure enough, and I told him that, he's like, yep. He's like, your friend is right. I was like, he usually is. So there you go. So
Thraxus just asked, you Austin guys going to T-Fest? Man, I'm gonna try. I am going to try. I can't promise, just because, I mean, quite honestly, I'm spending a lot of time at home doing game shit, and just got back from another con, and I do have 3 kids, and it's not that I haven't been paying attention to them. I just, you know what I mean? Don't lie, Erudite. You're completely easy and cheap. Don't lie. But Thraxus, there's a good chance. I'm thinking about maybe, a day, and just running through. Oh, nice, Jonathan. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. It's not that I don't want to go. I just feel like maybe I need to dedicate a weekend or so to, we'll see. Let's think. what else? I think I might have wrapped up all my cons, everybody I've met, good stuff I bought. Um, I hope that con doesn't. I know they want to keep it kind of small, but I hope it doesn't become exclusive at the same time. You know, there's a
Yeah,
balance.
yeah.
So
Yeah, we were talking a little bit before the stream about that. Like, I like how they're trying to keep it small, so it is sort of it doesn't get ballooned into like this like hyper commercial thing. I've never been to any other. That was like the biggest con I've been to, but like looking at images and videos and whatnot from some of these other cons, I have no interest in being in a sea of people like that. You know, like if they increase it to like 1,000, maybe I'd be,
well,
but
I mean, it
I'm,
just depends on how much more room they have to open up.
yeah,
You know, I mean, that's
but
really what it comes down to. Is
yeah,
if they did do something like that, as long as the space, because one of the things about the con is that it was crowded but never tight. You know, I
Yeah, the
never felt
Weston
like,
layout was optimal. That was a very
yeah,
good
yeah,
layout.
it wasn't one of those things where I had to like wait. I was never in a line. I've never been to a con. Any advice? Bring money, bro.
yeah, yeah.
That's
Max has
like
got a great question. Any advice about my first con? Money. It's definitely
yeah.
because you're gonna if it's got a decent vendor hall, like you're gonna wanna, purchase something because you're there, and maybe you'll actually be purchasing it from the creator and maybe they'll sign it for you, that sort of thing. Well, plus you'll bump into things that maybe you wouldn't normally see in your local gaming store. And it's a great way to, get introduced to something new. And at North Texas Con, they had a couple vendors selling like a lot of used stuff. So like you could
Great
rifle
stuff.
through,
So much
which
good
I
stuff.
never got a chance to do. Cash, I guess, yes. Everyone loves cash. Cash is king, but a lot of them had like, card readers and stuff. Um,
Yeah.
so my advice would be, let loose and relax and enjoy yourself because I mean that's how you're going to meet people and get a lay of the land. And what was awesome about North Texas Con is that everyone was chill. It was like a family gathering. They had children's tables where kids were learning how to play, being taught from an adult, or kids were running their own games. They had tables set up where there was miniature painting going on with kids and adults, and um, yeah, it's just you just gotta
Hey,
have an open mind and just relax and just
I
experience it.
gotta
Go with the
tell you,
flow. Go with the
Yeah.
flow.
I was of two minds. Bring snacks in your backpack. Absolutely, Flint.
Flint had an
Judd
apple in his
says,
hand the entire time I saw him.
yeah, he never bought hotel food. Judd says, be willing to play games you have never heard of. Absolutely. If somebody says, hey, you want to go play a game and you don't have anything planned, go do it.
Yeah,
Great
Just
advice.
just go do it. You know, that's really good advice. Um, really, I'm gonna tell you the most practical advice that I really think I can give is bring money because there's a lot of things you're gonna want to buy. And snacks. Flint's right on. My whole con experience would have been greatly improved had I always had something to nosh on in my backpack. You know what I mean? Just a little cookie or something, you know? Um, it's expensive. So
yeah, yeah.
I think
Especially
there's
like,
a
oh, go ahead, Brian. Sorry.
I think that there's another element of advice for your first con, which is like when you're in games, what are some things maybe that you can think about or be mindful of as you're going to a table with maybe different people, different system, and all those things. I find it helpful to take notes of people's characters. So like if we get a character sheet, because we get a lot of pre-gens in cons, right? And I'll have my character sheet set. And as I find out what the players are around the table, I'll write the names of those players in the perspective of the table on my character sheet of where they're sitting. So then I can refer to them in character, and it helps kind of create that good group experience because you're starting to refer um, to like name tents. Really cool to have at a con because then it helps other players that want to engage. Um, so yeah, I'm thinking like to have a good experience gaming. Like,
Yeah,
what are some of those things? Or you can always just have someone like me loan you dice, so Gary can roll plenty of natural
Oh
12
yeah,
yeah.
minis.
that's some good advice. Don't be like Gary. Bring dice.
Bring dice.
Dude, I
or,
didn't.
or borrow
You
my
don't
dice,
understand.
which were on
You
fire.
guys. It was
No, that
such a. It
that
was
was
such like throwback. Public school throwback. Back. I show up to a table, and everybody has dice and pens, and everyone like, really? Yeah, can I borrow your pen? You got a piece of paper? Hey, you mind if I use your dice? Cool. All right. I had nothing. I was not prepared.
You were that guy.
But I showed up on time, and I didn't cause a ruckus. So, yeah. So come with your game stuff. Bring your dice bag. Let me think. I don't know. You know what I would say is don't be so worried about it. I will say, I notice when I'm around gamers, some gamers, and it's, I don't mean to give into like stereotypes, but there is this sort of shy wallflower kind of, I don't know if I should go, you know what I mean? This sort of social nervousness. What the fuck, Gary? I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, but don't be afraid to talk to people. You know what I mean? Go talk to people. It's Everybody's so easy to talk to. Everybody's just like you. I walked up to Raji. Wasn't a big deal. He was nice enough. He's just a person, and go play games with people you don't know. That's the big one.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, like that one Lamentations game we were in, that, everyone was quiet, but we had that control of that one end of the table, and the three of us were just getting into it, and you could see because of us, everyone else started getting into it. And then the other guy who was playing the other mage there, like he and I all of a sudden started like kind of having like this thing that we were doing. I regret letting him have the magical spacesuit, because if I had the magical spacesuit,
we don't regret.
Gary would not have been able to stab me, and my possessed character would have killed you all. It would have been awesome.
You deserve to die, the evil pig lich that you were, and I would kill you 1,000,000 times more. God, that was fun. It's funny. I played Lamentations. It kind of drives home that really we just play D&D. You know what I mean?
It's a good point.
A lot, but Lamentations was great. I will say, now that we're on the topic of being a player and a good player to con, I don't know. I really think I might be the worst player for any DM at some point. But we did have DMs that were better than other DMs.
That's true.
And I will say that the main difference seems to be preparation.
Yes. Yes.
I don't think if you're a casual DM, like if you guys have played in any of my games and they're fairly casual and we get the marching order and we just go, I don't think that's necessarily the most appropriate thing for a con game. I don't think you need to get up on a stage and perform, but you should be prepared. People traveled, they signed up for the game, they wanted to be in your game. Don't pick a module whose cover looks good. You know what I mean? And then try to run it without having read it. Reading it as you go. That's what I would say. Be prepared.
I think that would be the big one that I noticed. And I've run games at like VengerCon, but that's like a small gathering. It's not like North Texas Con, though badges are still available. Venger is fun to hang out with, and Sandy Peterson's going to be there this year. But like the first time I ran was a con at a con was VengerCon 1, and it was Sunday morning. We were all hungover. One guy in particular is a really nice guy, but he was really drunk. I had to like pull him away from a married woman.
Awkward.
I got a text like a couple days later. He's like, dude, how many bottles of wine did I buy? I said 1. Oh, they're trying to charge me for 2. Thanks, man. Anyway, but I was nervous, but I had like read it was Kelvin Green's Forgive Us. Fantastic module. It's like The Thing meets a Thieves Guild. It's awesome.
Oh, cool.
And I read it, when I first got it. I read it again when I decided I wanted to run it on the plane to VentureCon. I read it again. I had like to have all these pre-gens made up. I had already ideas of how some of the encounters ought to be when they happen. And I'm gaming with one guy who's actually a member of the Bro SR. He goes by Vomitron, very nice guy. But everyone was experienced gamers, and so whatever I had planned, not that I had anything really planned, but they were already doing wild stuff. But it was fun, and I got the compliment. They're like, "Oh, how many times have you run this module?" I'm like, "This is my first time," and they're like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah." It's like, "Well, great job," So that is key. Just read over and over and over again. Be prepared, and but I think also have fun with it. Like I saw at North Texas Con game masters that had like crazy setups with their like I think I saw some with like a Castle Grayskull
I saw that.
Yeah, I want one of
the
those so
DM
bad.
screen, and I was
It
kind
was
of like,
awesome,
well, yeah, it's awesome, but I'm like, do you really
but
need
it's
that?
also an obstacle.
Yeah, I
No,
sort of
you
feel
don't
like
need it. You don't need it. But I do think I think sometimes little things like that add to like kind of the cool factor. You know what I mean? Like it's not, I don't think it deterred from anything. I think everybody that walked past it was like, "Oh, look at that Castle Grayskull DM screen." You know what I mean? It was
sure.
fun. It
Well,
was.
what
I
I'm
want
saying
one.
is, yeah, no, I get it. Well, I'm just saying is like I don't think that sort of stuff is necessary. Kind of like when you're
No.
saying you don't need to be up on a stage, but there is some performative aspects because you want to keep people engaged. The thing I saw from Raji, like Lamentations does not have fear mechanics, but the way Raji presented the material, even like the crazy sex shit,
Yeah.
like it was uncomfortable and kind of creepy. And that's where like the nervous giggles started coming in. So I was like, I'm sitting there like thinking to myself, this guy's brilliant. Like he's pulling something off that is so hard to do in a tabletop role playing game, and that's get your players to be afraid, like actually afraid. So not just be prepared, but lean into the performative aspect. You don't have to be acting,
No.
but I think lean into that, and I think you're going to have a good time, and your players will feed into that and feed off of it, and then they'll start doing their thing, and then you just have to lean back and
Yeah.
let them do it.
Having run games at cons, but it's been over 20 years, I had to kind of get my mind back into like what are the things that I want to bring to the table. I'm running games at Houston BrawlCon in August, so I'll be running 3 days of Shadow Dark there, and then for North Texas, I do plan to run Shadow Dark up there. And I looked at some of just like the basic things, the things that help expedite an efficient game state when you have 5, 6, 7 people at a table, of which maybe half of them maybe they're not familiar with the game system, because usually when you're running a game at a con, you're trying to accomplish one of at least one of two things: introduce people to the hobby or introduce people to a system. It's usually
What's
like
up,
one of those
Mike?
two things. There's Mikey. So like I noticed, one great practice was having actual numbered bases, 1 through 7. So there that way when you have your table, you got your players around, and there's the whole mat aspect. There's no loss of who's where and when. That was a great one. One of my GMs mentioned, "Man, I wish I would have brought my laser pointer, so I don't have to lean across the table and I can kind of point, bring that around." That's a quick and easy way to be able to position when you have players that are willing to help expedite board stay. Um, I think that definitely having tables or reference materials for new players so that they have an understanding of what they can do, not just their character sheet. We know that the character sheet is an area where they can use that for reference, but even just like small cards, like here's your action economies, here's some of the things that your any PC can do. So at least they have something to kind of latch on to. But
I don't know.
um,
I
and you
think at
got to
that.
be
I mean, there was.
careful.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
I think there was. Sorry. I mean, it was a lot of veterans there, bro. Like,
I mean, there were, but there was people that were a lot of people that were playing. That was their first game at a
yeah,
con, or that was their first game with a system. Maybe not in the hobby, right? Because again, at cons, to your point, Gary, you're absolutely right. You're going to see a lot of people that's what they do. We're board game geeks. We love it. We come in there and we're playing all these different things. But if you're trying to get, like, I know we don't want to single out any particular situations specifically, but we know that it's very hard to run a referenced 24-page book for a table of 6 if you haven't done your due diligence and can't run it in your sleep, and you're having to go back and it's 24 pages. And I went back and looked at it after that session at the hotel room. I went and referenced it. It's a lot to keep up with. And that particular situation, that particular DM did the best that they could, I think, with the material that they chose to run. Whereas looking at the typical 2-page or 1-pager, with just brief bullet points, because maybe we're expediting situations or destinations. And that's usually what you can really kind of work with at a con. Situations, get them in front of people. Rob did a great job of that because he didn't have any reference material. It was all in his head.
Yeah.
He's throwing it out there. He had a rough map that he was working from that he loosely sketched, and he presented situations and destinations. And it was an elegant, beautiful way for us to immediately hit the ground running and make decisions. So we had that agency, and he could put things before us where we could see it resolved.
Yep.
No, bring this back up real quick. Flint's doing a video on teaching aids at the table. We should check that out. Everyone should check that out.
Yeah, I loved my conversation with him about the deconstruction of what constitutes a great campaign state. I really just enjoyed so many people, but Flint, you're very fascinating in the way that you look at the analysis of technique and what the resources are that you bring to the table. That's the kind of stuff that if you go to a con and you're a GM normally, you're a forever GM, like what we all, started this whole thing on. And then you go to a con, you get to be a player. Like, you're soaking up technique at the table, but then you get a chance to have these sidebar conversations about just like how people go into and come out of these games with things that are important that make them better at it.
Yeah. But overall, I don't want it to sound like there was a lot of that happening. That happened once. It was one time. It was one game. Other than that, it does help that, like in our Horde Wars game, we were playing with the guy who had written the game.
Yeah, totally. But it's not even. But he wasn't even. I've been thinking about this. Like, it wasn't even just that. Like, he has. Todd, like, to his credit, he plays a lot of games every year to shill his game, and before he even wrote it, he was playing a lot of games. You could just tell because the way he managed the table. This is another thing I was really, with him in particular, I was really impressed with. Like, he commanded that table, and it was subtle. It wasn't like he was hitting people over the head. He was just like, okay, what are you doing? And all the while he's looking at you in the eyes, he's grabbing dice to create counters because some clock is ticking and hit points and all this other stuff. I was like really impressed with how he managed the table. There was some, it wouldn't be book control, but it would be something like, I don't know, just management. Like, I was really impressed with how he handled that game.
Table management, yeah, and that's something, that you, over time, you get more and more, and you run games more and more, and it happens, and it is obvious he does it a lot. So I did really appreciate that. I thought he did a great job, and I would like to get more of that. But I think in my case, I get as excited as the players. And I'm just, oh yeah, that's what you want to do. Yeah,
I loved playing with you guys. You guys, because again, we're all three very different game masters. But what did we learn last week? We're also all three very different players. And
Gary was like, he just like kicked the chair and he's like up walking around and he's like,
I want to play Paranoia with Gary Lewis.
Yeah.
Oh shit, I think that might be the one game that I could win consistently.
Oh, I want to play that with
playing with folks.
No, that was great. For
that. I can't. I don't. I see these people just sit and then they go to another game and sit and sit. No, like, I don't think my brain works. Like, my feet have to be moving. I have to be able to get up. I have to like crank it or something. It works on pedal power. I
That
don't know
makes
how
sense
everybody
for
can
you as
sit
a
for
lead
so long.
guitarist. You got to be on your feet and creating and improving. It makes
I,
sense. It ties your creativity to
well,
movement.
I honestly think for a lot of you guys who sit behind a desk a lot and feel dissatisfied with things, I think that it's going to sound so dumb and not even related to gaming, but getting up and walking is like it just helps you think. You know what I mean? It works your shit out. So, and I
Before
do
I
that at the
answer
table.
Wibb's question, no, I actually agree with you. Like during my work day, and this was before I started working at home, I would get up and kind of like circle the office, all the while just kind of like maybe muttering to myself. I probably looked a little crazy, but I was doing arguments in my head, and then I'd sit down and type them out. Which Horde Wars adventure did Todd run? He and Nate ran a bunch of them. The one I really wanted to get in was Dave's Vault, where you were a bunch of like Crusaders holding back like some tide. He ran Goblin's Attack, when the one we were on was like some sort of blood sacrifice where a lich was gonna cast some sort of spell and all these skeletons were gonna come out, and we had to take on the lich before that happened, and hilarity ensued with some of what Rob's character was doing. That was another thing. Rob
That's
Rob
right.
Alderman,
Rob was
man.
in our Horde Wars game.
Yeah,
That dude
dude,
was playing to die.
Yeah,
It's almost like he wanted to go eat or something. Every chance he got to do something stupid, he took the opportunity, and it made our game so much more fun.
He was right next to me, and that energy was just so contagious. It was just that "do you want to live forever" feels of just going into it. And what was cool, again, like we're talking about when you're running different types of players, because Rob is a very, very different type of player, and just that buoyant engagement. And Todd is also, it kind of goes back to what I was mentioning earlier. If you're running a game at a con, you're either trying to promote the hobby or promote the system. Todd did a really good display of showing how his system works differently, and he made it in a way that seemed very seamless, intuitive. And then he was also just totally game for the what the fuck moments that just happened and just brought it in. What, Matt? Wasn't your character? I think there was a point where you were paralyzed for like 4 rounds, just drooling in a corner.
Yeah.
And Rob wanted to bounce off your body and use it as a inflatable mattress off of a diploma. That's some crazy stuff.
Yeah. We got a super chat from Doc Flamingo. Hey man, thank you so much. $5. Friend computer agrees all should play Paranoia. Only traders do not play Paranoia.
I guess very true. Now
I've never played Paranoia, so I guess I'm a traitor.
I feel like I need to run a one shot now. What edition? Fuck, here we go. Paranoia Edition Wars. Tell me in the chat, guys. Yeah, no, it was really cool. You play with the same people a lot, and one of the things that's cool is kind of picking up the new energy. I mean, people do play differently and they have a different attitude. There was a couple of games I played where like you could tell the dungeon crawlers, like these guys want to get out their 10-foot poles and move along, and then there were other games where it was kind of, I don't want to say people wanted to role play, but there was, a little bit more of the voice, so I don't know how to explain it, man. There were just different play styles. It was fun to play with new people. The game we were talking about that the DM wasn't quite prepared for, I thought that group of players, we worked together really well.
Yeah.
The group was great.
A lot of good chemistry.
The two guy, the couple, they were actually in the Draggy game I was in. They're clearly veteran Lamentations players. The one guy actually works, I guess, as a partner with Raji, helps handle his money or whatever. The other two guys, there was another dude there who's playing the other cleric, but he was totally unengaged. I don't even think he wanted to be there, in all honesty. He would just like occasionally pop up and roll dice. But everybody else, like, we were like trying to figure out what the heck is going on. It was fun. I like that module a lot, and I think I'm going to drop it in Gods of the Forbidden North. just to screw with my players. It'll be
But
fun.
again, it just because I mean we're putting out a little bit of specifics here, so you could kind of reverse engineer a little bit and see who, what, where. I just in the DM's defense, if you're choosing a 24-page adventure for a con that has so much, first off the contrast print and all this, it's hard to reference, and an admirable job trying to evoke and maintain that feel. um, it's just you just have to be careful what source material you're using when you're running a con,
Well,
because it can be to your detriment.
I don't. I don't mean to interrupt. I've Forgive Us was around 24 pages, I think. Um, but the layout on that was a little better. Like you open it up and there's the map, and then you flip and there's a map, and more verbiage or whatever. It I Those modules can be done in a 4 hours. It's just you got to be prepared. And I don't think that guy was totally unprepared. Like, but there was just some certain areas, and this is idiosyncratic of Lamentations, where it is just so off the wall, unexpected. Like you really do need to read it. Where if it was sort of like your standard, D&D scenario, like, oh, there's going to be goblins in this cave, right? Like you don't need to really know the specifics. Like you can wing it. It's a little easier to wing. But when Lamentations, where things are just non-standard, like you really do need to read. So, but I had fun with that game. I thought he did fine. I just,
Overall,
he was,
we
there
all
was
had fun.
points.
I almost
Yeah.
felt bad for him, because there were a couple times there were like looks around the table,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I'd
He's
look
just trying
around
to,
and
Mike, I love saying this. So Mike, thank you for asking the question. I helped play test the sex dungeon of Dr. Intercourse. It was hilarious and fun.
I wanted to like Dragon Slayer more. I just felt like I was coming into a game of Battleship. That's on me. But somehow Gary magically rolls into a game late and wins the whole
well, we were
joust.
just, I think we weren't really playing the game. We were just testing that system. And I think
Yeah.
because we came in late, I think that's why it was a little confusing. By the end of it,
Yeah.
I kind of figured, I'd kind of looked at it and figured out, but
I did some
testing the
research and read it,
subsystem.
and it's supposedly it's a really well received game, like with a lot of cool stuff. And I'm
Yeah,
like, I
yeah,
guess
yeah.
we just
But
didn't get to it. I guess so.
we were testing that one system, and I did win that. Just see, I didn't get killed once, which means I
No.
probably wasn't trying hard enough. Next year I'll
My
have character deaths for sure.
Next year you'll have your dice and not roll as hot.
So we'll keep talking.
He
about
won the joust on a natural 20. It was great.
Yeah,
You couldn't write it up any better. It was an epic moment.
Oh, wrong one. That's the one. Yes, Mike. That's it. And when the doctor introduced himself, he was very, very formal, very erudite. He's like, my name is Dr. Annul Intercourse. Oh, it was so funny. Anyway, but enough about that. This is a PG G-rated stream, guys.
No, it's not.
We're not hard R, but we.
Thanks, Chubby. That's how I know you love me. Sorry.
So speaking of next year, so I think it's pretty clear we're planning on going again. And next year I think we're gonna
bought.
Yeah. I think we got to discuss it, but I think it would be cool to get a table, maybe set up and do interviews and stuff like that. Maybe if I could like sell some stuff that I've made or whatever. But are you guys planning on running games next year? Brian, I think you said you wanted to next year.
Yeah, I'm going to run Shadow Dark at North Texas.
Anything in particular that come to mind, or just?
I mean,
right now it's just I'm going to run Shadow Dark.
I without going too much into any sort of specifics, I plan to do something that's definitely going to promote whatever Western Marches is definitely going to have as far as I'm going to promote Western Marches to the best of my ability, and whatever else might be out at this time next year, I'll call an audible and be ready for it. So.
Yeah.
Cool.
And we start to drift towards NC-17. My coffee is Irish tonight. That is no lie. I don't know if I'm going to run a game.
Excellent choice, Jonathan.
Yeah, I do. Maybe. I don't know. It depends on if I get excited about anything. I don't think I have any. That's my big thing. Everybody's like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And I just don't feel like I have the special idea that's worth bugging people with, right? What I mean? Like, I just don't I don't think I have anything to offer that someone else can't offer,
I totally disagree.
I think you should show up there, this, North Texas Con, which is kind of known as an OSR classic kind of gaming convention, with a particular Star Wars game with a particular set of funny dice, and introduce people to how awesome that game is. Because I told you this when that game first came out. This was like years ago. We bought it. My gaming group did, and we had no idea what we were doing, and it was the most unfun game I think I've ever had, and I swore against it. And then I met you, and you ran that game, and I'm like, I fucking love this game.
Yeah, proficient.
So if anybody can do it, it's you, Gary. Help us, Gary Lewis. You're our only hope.
Yeah, no, that I think it would be fun to do if you just take the meds. Gary. You say more content. How about any content, Chubby? I have a doctor's appointment soon, Chubbs. Don't worry about it. So anyway, yeah, I don't know. I think that would be fun. I don't know that I'd almost just want to run a pickup game. You know what I mean? I don't know if can I tell you the real thing? Yeah, here's the real deal. I don't know that I want to be tied down to, like, even when I woke up and you're like, we have a game, I was like, fuck, and you're like, you got like 3 hours. Oh God, 3 hours. I have to be.
It was 1 o'clock, and you were like, I don't know. I'm like, it's at 1 o'clock.
It's a schedule. Like, I don't know if who knows what I'm going to be doing at 12:50. You know what I mean?
No, I don't know. There is something to say to be said about not having a plan, right? Because like we didn't have a plan. We showed up, and man, we had a effing blast. Like,
crossed fingers.
So like next year I will probably not do what Chubby did and schedule like a bunch of stuff, but I'll like to run something, maybe 2 things, who knows. I will definitely try to get into some of those games that got scooped up real early and quick, but I'm gonna want blocks of time where I'm just kind of chilling out and just waiting and seeing what else is out there, so I can be a little flexible. I think that's the way to go, honestly. Because some of the stuff all those games that we got into like randomly ended up being fun, including that Lamentations game where the guy was reading from the book. It was still fun. I like having the flexibility.
And I definitely think, like, if you're a type A personality and you want to play this game, and this game, sign up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you also, I will say that, we got into a good number of games. It's another one of those things. Don't be afraid to talk to people. You know what I mean? Don't be afraid to walk up to the guy that wrote the module or the game that you like and say hello. And I mean, talk like a person. Like, people talk to each other. Don't do the whole just talk to people, and you're gonna find tons of games. I'm just looking for a game, and there will probably be about 2 or 3 people like, hey, I got a game, come on, let's go. And you're gonna get dragged off to a game. So, but you got to talk to folks. I don't spend a lot of time. Like, I think we have one large game store here where it's mostly Magic players, and I don't spend a lot of time around a lot of gamers. And guys, just talk to each other, man.
Yeah.
You know
what I mean? Relatable. Be social.
Yeah, just be relatable. It's everybody that had the most fun were, bouncing back and forth, and the kids were great. You saw them; they didn't have any trouble. Hey, what are you playing? I'm playing this, and that's kind of how I approach just about everything. What are you doing? Can I play? So
that's funny. That brings up one of the things that I wish I would have done. I wanted to I know Jeff Grubb and Steve Winter were there, and I really did want. That was one of my missed opportunities. And then we saw that game of '84 Marvel superheroes, and there was like kids, dads, moms, all at that table. And you just look at that, and he had the old school '84 map all
It's
rolled
the
out
one
there,
he
and I'm
bought.
just like, yeah, it's
Yeah.
just like that's what
So
it's about. It's so cool.
I pulled that game off that shelf, that used thing. It was $45 for a complete Marvel set. And you were like, nah, it's not worth it. And you said, well,
No,
it depends on the
advanced
condition of the map. No, no, no.
the
It was
map.
the yellow box. He bought both of them.
Yeah,
And it was like $45. And I was like, ah. And then I just like, fuck it, I'm gonna go buy it. And I walked over there, and as we were walking through the big room, I saw them playing it, and I was like, oh, he bought that game. And
he
I
probably
was
just bought
going,
it. What a great story for him, though. Like he probably bought it off the shelf, and then that's the
oh, and
ultimate
he
thing
had
to
a
play.
great game going. Everybody
You
was
could
having
tell.
so much fun
Yeah.
there. Yeah, absolutely. So go to cons, they're fun. That being said, it's tiring, man. I've recovered from the con, but I have like no breaks. You know what I mean? It's like I got home and you think, oh, maybe I'll take a day to fuck, no rest.
Yeah.
Back to the
Yeah.
grind.
Yeah.
So
I slipped into my short order cook mode where you're operating on very little sleep, but you got a lot to do the next day, and you spent some time the night before drinking at the bar, maybe a little too much. So that didn't bother me, but like the flight home, I felt bad for the people sitting next to me because I was just out on the flight home. So yeah. I think next year, I definitely want to run something. I don't know if I'd run a Lamentations game. Maybe I would. I would probably run some Shadow Dark as well. I think that's what I would do. Shadow Dark and Lamentations. Those right now are like the kind of the games I'm like kind of like really into. Although I could be convinced to run something like Marvel, but yeah.
I would if I were gonna run something non D&D like, I would definitely want to run an older Marvel, sounds like me, or a Star Wars D6 game. Flint,
thank you so much for stopping by, man. It was awesome meeting you. And yes, we are going to game together. Gary and I have already had some conversations about this. Like maybe we should do like some like team up or something. I don't know. But $5. Thank you so much. Got to tap out. Enjoyed hanging with you guys at the con. Hope to jump in one of your games someday. Take it easy, Flint. Have a good night, and have a happy Father's Day.
Yeah, happy Father's Day, everyone. What are y'all doing for Father's Day? I told everybody to fuck off. I'm gonna run a game. No, just kidding. I didn't.
My son actually has a baseball game, but I'm picking up my old smoker finally rusted out. I had to get rid of it, so I'm buying myself a new one, and I'm gonna be smoking some pork ribs and just hanging out after watching my son's game. I'm gonna relax. It's been a very busy week. I came home from the con with like a ginormous email, like all these email notifications, and I'm like, oh my god, it's just been I've been digging myself out. So I'm tired. I'm just gonna relax, eat some ribs, drink some beer.
Aren't you supposed to be spoiled?
Let's play this week, man. Ultra, before you leave, let's play this week. Later, bye.
Take care, Ultra. Thanks for stopping by, man. Super chat from Jonathan Brown, $2. Shadow Dark. It's a great con system. I agree. I 100% agree.
Yeah, Father's Day for me is running my 6-person Shadow Dark Midnight Sun. So that's going to be I just looking forward to it. That's how I like to spend my holidays. My birthday's in August. It's August 13th, and I ended a 5-year campaign about a year and a half ago. And for my birthday, again, anniversaries. What do you want to do? I want to run games. I'm going to be running that 5-year campaign. We're going to run it like 10 years later as a single one shot. Like bring all the players back, and all the characters that survived, and it's going to be a 10 years later one shot. But yeah, whenever I get any sort of celebration time. I always schedule role playing events like around then. So like that's my Father's Day. It'll be a good one. It'll be great.
Yeah, there will be no gaming on Father's Day, but I had two brother-in-laws, and one of them doesn't have kids, and they are both well, I know it's a title. It's not like a thing, but they're both chefs. They've both been like, big restaurants, and they
Sure.
do steaks every year. And so I'm gonna have some Wagyu. You know what I'm saying? Like it's gonna be the best.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that and whiskey. So there will be no gaming, unfortunately. If I could get that in somehow, it'd be great. I ran Shadow Dark third party setting, and it was a blast. Ooh,
From Mike, I guess this is funny. This is Seattle. We smoke fentanyl and play 5e here.
if I played 5e, I'd smoke fentanyl too.
It's on brand.
Judd. I always try to run something on Halloween, and my group is always too busy to actually play that night. I think Halloween games are fun. That's a great way to like take a break from your campaign and do something different. And my current Shadow Dark project is a anthology of 4 horror stories. I'm calling it the Living Darkness Volume 1. I'm currently play testing it now. Hopefully, it'll be ready by this October.
Thanks,
I have a bad feeling I'm not going to make it, but we'll see.
Yeah, we shall see. Was there anything you regretted not buying at North Texas? Like, do you wish that you just would have plunked down some money? I keep going back to that Marvel game. Like since you brought it up, like I'm really kind of pissed off I didn't just buy it. I should have bought.
Yeah.
I should have bought both of them together.
I regret not actually going through the used books more because I feel like I may have found something. I'm not as big of a collector of some of like the older stuff. Lamentations is kind of like my thing, right? But there are a few things like you pointed me to the first edition Dark Sun box set that was in really good condition. That would be kind of cool to,
pricey, very
but
pricey.
it was.
Yeah. What was it? How much was that?
I can't remember. I just remember
250. I think it was 250.
Yeah.
And then the macro box set was like even more expensive. So.
Yeah.
I was actually were there any old box sets in the used section? Wibs, yeah, there was. One of the vendors there had like tons of box sets. There was a red box, there was a blue box, Spec Me. Everything was in really good shape. Like
those Mylars, the Mylars that he had on those box sets.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to him. I asked him about that. I was like, "Well, where do you get those? Because I want those for mine." And he said that the vendor who used to make those went out of business, and he bought all the remaining stock of those Mylars that fit those.
Oh wow!
Yeah. My system that I regretted not getting, or my purchase, and I should have. I just should have was Top Secret SI for $45, and High Stakes Gamble was only $40. Man, I probably should have went and scooped those because those boxes were incredible condition. It's an incredible game system. So I regret not getting that. But,
I will say one thing I don't regret, which was funny because I always go on eBay and I'm thinking I'm gonna buy a new copy of the original Dungeon Master's Guide. Right, like for a year now, I'm gonna buy an original copy of the Dungeon Master's Guide. Dude, on eBay, I've seen some of those for like ridiculous amounts of money. And I roll in there, and he's got like 12 in really good condition for like $80 a pop. And then he's got one where some kid like took a marker and inked in all the black around the character.
I was there with you with that.
It was opaque. And that one was like $50 or something.
Is this a misprint? Was this some sort of alternate cover?
What the fuck is this? And then there was, and they were all in good shape. And it's so remarkable to look at those old books, right? And just see like how together they are. Even the books with the fucked up, chewed up covers, the binding is still in there. I mean, these things are old.
Except under Arcana.
Yeah, I didn't look at Unearthed Arcana.
Unearthed Arcana was a notoriously poor binding. 85, I think, is when that book came out. They just used a lot of subpar glue. It's actually one of the hardest books of AD&D to find consistently in good condition. It just was a bad print run. But the other thing, Gary, and you're talking about like that whole thing of looking at all those old books, and it's funny because you think about how expansive this hobby is over 50 years. It's like all those are memories. Like all those books had some love at some time somewhere at a table, hopefully. It's kind of surreal, when you see the names in the books and all that legacy there. And then I guess my only lament about the merch in general, because I'm more of a system agnostic purchaser because I like to find resources that I can just freely use, was that there just wasn't enough system agnostic stuff. It's just so much of the stuff was just branded. I'm like, yeah, I can use some of this, but
system, I don't know. I think system agnostic is a relatively new idea. And when you're going to an old dealer, I mean, that's just not going to be there, and I think we're opposite on that. We can argue about that at some point, but I don't like system agnostic stuff. My attitude is turned around on system agnostic. I want it to be useful for something. I don't want to have to work it out. But yeah, there was a lot of good stuff. I wish I would have got the DMG. I wish I would have bought those Marvel games, but I didn't. And there was a ton. And if you are a D&D collector, if you are always talking about, remember Dragon Magazine or Dungeon Magazine, there was a ton of stuff there. The one table across from the Black Lodge guys, he had a ton of those, like the old Avon novels, like a lot of the Appendix and stuff. There was a lot of
yeah. His name is Mike Wu. I talked to him.
I chatted with him too. Yeah,
real great guy.
Yeah. And when his night was over, when he tore down, did you notice he just ran a game right there in the vendor room?
Oh, I know.
He moved over like one table and just sat down, and people came and sat down, and he ran a game right there.
Dude. Yeah, I should have picked up some of his books actually, because I am trying to pick up some more of the Appendix N books, because they were like used book prices. You know what I mean? Like 50 cents, $1, $2, $3, whatever. I should have. But
Judd,
I don't know. Judd, the thing I noticed,
system agnostic is the future. Oh no, it's not. It's not. I think that's a topic.
We have 24 minutes to argue about this.
All right.
I don't have it in me, man. I just don't. I'm still recovering hit points after a long rest.
The one thing
Chubby wins.
Wins. Speak the truth.
There it is.
Right, but I do. That's the thing, is I do play the most flexible, and so I don't know. Fuck it. System agnostic. What is system agnostic? That means that it's somebody wrote some shit and didn't put the numbers down, so you got to do the work.
Not necessarily.
Then what is it? If it's not that, what is it?
Well, the system agnostic stuff that I think. It's stuff that's more like OS.
But here
I know. Here we go. More, like something like a zine that's like sort of aimed at the OSR. You're going to have like something like an armor class, something like a hit dice.
I would argue those aren't system agnostic.
I would say that. Well, I think they are, because they're not specifically Dragon Slayer. They're not specifically OSC. They're not specifically Adventure Conqueror King, Lamentations, XYZ, whatever. They're just something like Yoon Suin. What is Yoon Suin? Have it's got stats in it, and it looks like an OSR. It's like it's the original Yoon Suin. There it is.
Right. But the point of buying these things is so that I can come up with shit on my own. Right. I can come up. I have a million ideas. I can steal ideas from anywhere. Right. So if I'm buying something, I want the work to be done.
Exactly. So system vague. That's what I'm an advocate for. System vague.
Well, and I will tell you this. I will say that a lot of those games that you name, they all work off the same thing. I mean, everything's just modify, OSR stuff. It's all just modified BX or something along those lines. And the modifications, I think on our second show, we were talking to Rob and we were arguing about system. And at one point we agreed that, I could be running from another book and my players would never know.
Right.
There's a lot of systems, it just wouldn't matter.
All right,
is
what
this?
is this?
So allow me to share one of my favorite resources. By the way, you're probably never going to find this in PDF form, but if you ever do find it out there, it's incredible. You can use it for all sorts of things printed. Ultimate Toolbox. This is 09 Alderock Entertainment. So here's a great example of something from, I guess, what's that now, about 16 years ago. And it's very much in the tome of adventure design. Type of provocative prompts that you can use. If you're running, for example, a table of characters and you want to give them something to work off of, you roll a d20, get some backgrounds there, some quick motivations. Maybe if you're trying to get something going, a la Walking Dead. That was one thing I really kind of thought was cool about the Year Zero engine. Tattoos, collections, character paths, sure, virtues, guilds. You need some quick names for common crimes, criminal past. You can take any of this stuff and put it in any system. I can use grave robbing in Boot Hill. I can use it in Cyberpunk. I can, of course, use it, in Vampire the Masquerade or something. And I can run with that. System agnostic is one of those things where it just gives you the fuel that you can use to run your games, regardless of system. Sometimes regardless of genre.
Well, this is where
Gary has outgrown the need for consistency. Sorry.
Well, I just want to erudite DM Lawrence setting can be more easily written system agnostic. Yes. But I would want, this is what I like, why I picked up Yoon Suin. Like there's rules in there to play like a slug man, for example, and it fits easily like with your basic OSR, stat block, so to speak. So, and character progression. It's like if someone just handed me their lore, right, and like, here's my system agnostic setting, and there's really no mechanics in it, I wouldn't want that. I'd want something so I can get some idea like how powerful this character is, or this NPC is, or this monster is, or what exactly is going on in this one location. That way I can I have some sort of like frame of reference when I start using it. But then again, I'm a huge fan of the plug and play concept of OSR, and that's why I like, as much as I like, Free League, what they do is really interesting to me, and I will love to play Free League games. At the end of the day, I'm an OSR guy through and through, because I can take anything, and with Adventure Conqueror King, I'm going to be upping my games by I can't wait.
So real quick, Chubby and Judd, I just want to say that while you're both absolutely correct, neener, I don't care. To you guys, you're absolutely right. However, I do think if I buy something, I want to know what system it's for. I want to see some numbers. I don't want to have to like look up in the book, all the stuff. I just want it to be done.
Yeah.
But that's just me. I'm really back to this again. I'm so glad you have Axe. I'm so glad your Axe 2 books came in. I'm almost more excited for you to have them than I was for me to have them.
Well, I'm not kidding. I really wanted to just jump into the judge's journal, because I really love how McCreast just broke it down so you can do your own thing and build your own thing. But I'm purposely holding off my desire, my need to know more, and focusing on the rules first, because I would love, and I've been saying this for a long time, I would love to run an Adventure Conqueror Dragon Kings campaign. Dark Sun, Axe, and just go to town. I think it'll be hilarious, awesome, brutal, and cool. And that would be my West Marches, my Bro SR game. That would be the one. That would be the one. And I would quit my job to make sure it happened. No, I wouldn't do that. But that would be the one I'd really dedicate, because I love the world, and I'm not a fan of second edition AD&D. And I think if any world screams Adventure Conqueror King, it's Dark Sun. So
You know,
Huh.
if time and age and expense and all that stuff wasn't an issue, I could see myself falling in love with that game for all the things that it can pull that we're talking about. What's the name? There's a setting. There's the setting that's in it, or it's called.
The Oran Empire
Yeah,
is the X setting.
That's my only. I don't want to say my beef, but one of the only things that's just kind of um, if that wasn't such a part of it, and it was just more of the system and not trying to promote. I don't know what I'm
So
trying to
I
say.
think
Oh,
no, I
but
understand what you're trying to say, but I think maybe um I think part of that, and I don't know for sure because I'm not you and I didn't read it like you, but you might be doing that thing where like the art, because the art does have an influence on how you think about the game. But
sure,
that's
yeah.
why I wouldn't skip the player's manual to go to the GM's manual because then you'll kind of see the thinking. And really, the core classes are all BX, and then he has campaign classes. So a lot of the stuff you see is like, hey, these are the classes for this campaign in this place. And then in the GM section, he gives you the rules to make your own classes and your own monsters.
Mm,
Like it's definitely, in fact, there's so much information. Hey, Night Erudite, there's so much
Erudite,
information that he gives
take
you
care,
on how to
man.
customize uh the flesh is weak. He gives you so much information on how to create everything that I just don't think that's I understand what you're saying. I don't know that that's necessarily accurate if you read enough
like
into it.
whatever
You know
what
what I
are
mean?
the well, no, I've read a lot of the judges, maybe probably about 25% of the players, but it's like the opposite of immersion breaking for me when I'm reading that and then I see that. It's almost, I don't know what the right term would be, but it breaks me out of wanting to really soak up the system because then it I don't want to say shilly either because it doesn't feel shilly, but it just kind of it breaks my attention span in whatever some of the things are that sometimes I see it. But
Yeah.
I love the judge. I can't wait to get my copy of the judge's journal. Like I want to have that and be able to
Yeah.
utilize it.
No,
So
I understand
yeah,
what you're saying, Brian, because I kind of have that same thing, and Matt's gonna hate this, but I have that same thing with Lamentations. Where I'll be
Hold
doing
up.
just
mm,
kind of fine with it. Sorry,
No,
Matt.
I'm just kidding. No, I'm kidding.
And
I
I just
kind of
Hold up.
agree with you on that too, Gary. I
Hold
kind of
up.
and it's
do.
Just
not
want to say good night to Judd. Judd, I hope you're going to be at VentureCon. If so, I'll be seeing you there, buddy. Happy Father's Day. Take care, man. All right.
and it's not even always like the racy stuff. A lot of times it's just the aesthetic that sort of what is it 17th 18th century kind of
It's the
thing
it's 1600s, yeah, 17th century.
yeah, so it's that kind of like the clothes and there's the one thing to do that it looks like a tutu but it's not, and, the
Mm.
tights and all that kind of bullshit. It just breaks me out of it and I just kind
Yeah.
of get
Well,
you
your
know
guys are
I
talking about
that's
implied
same with me,
setting.
Gary.
You're
Yeah.
talking about the
yeah.
implied setting that any game really has, like your classic D&D sort of is that medieval fantasy,
Hmm.
whatever, 12th century, 10th century, something like that, right? The RN Empire is like the Roman era. I
Well,
like
Iron
the
Empire is it's the end of antiquity is what it's
yeah,
based off of,
yeah.
which
So
I
like
actually think makes it interesting. It's in
I
between phase.
I agree. Like, because like any campaign world should have this like collapsed empire, so you have ruins to explore, right, or something like it, right?
Hmm.
And I think that's neat. I do think it's neat, and it's just different. RN Empire is just different from your basic ho hum fantasy settings. Um, Barrows and Borderlands, which I got to do a video on eventually. I picked that up. That's an OD&D clone, but he's imported like gunpowder and like some of this more gonzo stuff, so it doesn't feel like D&D. It's something else. That implied like setting, and yeah, Lamentations implied setting is the 1600s because, as James put it, that was the worst time to be alive. So of course, Lamentations is going to be during that period, So,
Yeah. Oh, he's froze up.
But am I frozen?
You're fine,
Am I
man. You're
frozen
fine.
now?
You're back.
Okay.
You're
Yeah, you're
back.
So,
back.
You're back.
So I like the fact that it's kind of more historical because you're sort of put into that mode, and then the weird stuff happens, and that's when it pops. So
Yeah.
but I hear what you're saying, but the implied setting's not for everybody, and I get that. That's why I don't
Yeah.
like classic D&D, because it's just that to me is uninteresting. I've done it.
Vanilla.
It's vanilla.
Yeah.
So anyway,
And yet, well, and that's kind of the thing. Like
I look really good in tights.
Yeah.
Tight.
One of the things I'm hoping to do, like with the campaign I'm running now, is it is pretty standard. Like I look at it, and the sort of, it is that sort of D&D, not even medieval, man. It's just, if it looks cool and has armor and swords, you just kind of you put into that one thing. That's what Dungeons and Dragons does. But I'm really I want to get more into sort of the crazy shit, not like Lamentations, but just, you don't like OSE. He doesn't like OSE. Anyway, I like the Gonzo shit, but I do find myself stuck in the sort of standard D&D. I don't know.
And you're not even that big of a fantasy guy. Fantasy's not even like really your preferred genre.
No.
Right?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it. Like I'll watch it before I watch, other things, I guess. Okay, what are your favorite fantasy movies, right? If you go on the list, there's
there he is.
Hey, it's Alchemic. What's up, man?
What's up, man?
Good
Thanks for stopping
you.
in.
Yeah, we got to get you on the show. I was just praising Hellmarch at the beginning of things, and it is dun dun dun.
He signed my copy.
He signed my copy too.
But he signed it with his G.I. Joe name. I didn't want his G.I. Joe name. I wanted his real name, but that's okay. I'll get it next time. I'll get 2 signatures. I'll bring the book and I'll have him sign it again.
And here's another, if Chubby wants to point out this contradiction, I don't necessarily want to use anybody's setting, but if I don't like your setting, the book's like, I'm not going to like your book. I'll probably never use your setting, but I better like it. You know what I mean?
Zach,
I was showing, bro.
Whoops.
I was. Go to Drive-Thru RPG, pick up Hellmarch.
Zach, the systems are relatively the same. They're OSR, but the implied setting of Lamentations is the 17th century Europe. So it's more like historical, but with like weird stuff that happens. OSE, Rule Cyclopedia, D&D is like your vanilla fantasy setting with goblins, orcs, whatever, however you want to set up, like Tolkien-esque, or however you want to put that range of things. So they are different in terms of setting. The rules, a good system, in my opinion, will have the rules tweaked in such a way to make that setting feel real. So like in Lamentations, you're not going to have wizards throwing fireballs. You're going to have wizards doing other weird stuff. But anyway,
makes it distinct.
I brought up fantasy movies because I feel like I have even different taste in those. My favorite fantasy movies, like my 3 favorite, there's 2 Sinbad movies and Clash of the Titans. Right? Like that's sort of my I don't even know what the popular fantasy movies, like I am really unplugged from that sort of whole genre, really. It's got to be pretty outstanding.
There was one, I cannot remember the name of it. There you go. We have a gentleman and a scholar in our chat. Jonathan, thank you very much. You're absolutely 100% correct. I can't remember the name of this movie. I saw it was like, it's so hard to find. Like it was on like someone put it up on YouTube, but it was done with that like rotoscope or whatever. But it's relatively new, and it was like a very Lamentations-y fantasy. Oh man, I'm trying to remember the name of it. It was really good, and it was trippy and dark. I want to say, what's her name? I'm too tired. I can't remember names now.
One of the hot ones.
Yeah.
What's her name?
But yeah, I other than like Lord of the Rings, there's not too many, or like some of the classic fantasy stuff like Krull or something.
Yeah, another quick plug for Hellmarch is that if you go back and think about the coolest moment in the Lord of the Rings games, it's always the mass combat. It's always when the armies are fighting. So go get Hellmarch. Yeah, so fantasy for me, like I'm trying to think. I just don't have, I read the Linkmar books when I was a kid. It's just not the thing stuck. So, but game wise, I think it's the best genre for role playing games. I think I've even said that I don't know if we need role playing games in another genre. It just works too well,
Well, it's the most accessible, right? And if you're trying to nurture and maintain a player base, it's the one that gets everybody under the tent.
Yeah,
So.
that's true. That's true. Well, it's funny too. Like we're just kind of going back. Like I'm more interested in the strange and unusual. Like I don't want to play Cyberpunk. I want to play Wretched New Flesh, right? Because that's a different kind of cyberpunk.
Yeah.
It's got something really weird about it. Jonathan Brown, giving us $5. Thank you. Thumbs up. Appreciate it.
He gave us a thumbs up because he liked everything that I said tonight and agreed with me.
I'm pretty sure
everything.
I don't think
I'm almost
true.
positive. I'm
no,
almost positive.
That can't be true.
Look, you can have the $5, dude. I'm just telling you.
But yeah, like and that's kind of where I'm at, after all these years of gaming. I'm really interested in seeing how an author can do something different with what we have. And if you have a new idea, kind of like with Horde Wars for mechanics, I'm all ears, obviously. But as an OSR guy, I want to see interesting settings that are different, and that's why I like the Red Room. That's why I love Lamentations. So there, that's all I have to say. And yes, Alchemic Raker, we will be talking about this. We still have to finalize when you're going to be on. I think it's in about 4 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks. Let us know, man. You're on.
Yeah, for sure. Listen, we got like 3 minutes, so just to wrap up, North Texas Con was great. I wish, I want to tell hey, what's up? I want to tell all of you guys.
Daddy?
I want to tell all of you guys to go, but I also don't want it to get too big or sell out. So it's kind of one of those things. It's like, yeah, come down. Don't fuck up this convention.
Right. Yeah.
But it was a great time, and we met so many good people. So many people that were really great. I feel like I made a lot of friends. The gaming was incredible. Go to your local con. I will probably be at the thing here in Austin coming up pretty soon. We'll see. Yeah, go have fun. Play more games. Say yes. Just say yes. Or some bullshit
play
like
everything.
That.
Yeah. I don't know. My last thoughts on this. North Texas Con, I sort of felt like was the con that I needed. I've been going to VentureCon, and that's been a lot of fun. But to be surrounded by, fellow OSR gamers and creators and actually I've sort of got a little rejuvenated because, I've been doing this on the periphery for a few years now, trying to hustle and do my thing. And to have a couple people come up to me and be like, oh, hey, are you Lord Mattias? I was like, cool. This is my home. This is where I'm supposed to be, and everyone was cool. I'd love to see everyone there. But yeah, to Gary's point, I'd love to see everyone there, just not too many. Because it's to me, it was like the perfect size. Like I think you could maybe balloon it out to 1,000. But at that point, you're pushing it. Maybe the balloon has been stretched a little too much.
Go to a con that's 1,000 people, and you will change your mind about all of them.
Well, I think it all depends. No, it can be done. It can be done. It just depends on the space. It can be done. And quite honestly, guys, we talk about keeping things small and we want them for ourselves, and that's great. But, this is a business thing for a lot of guys. A lot of folks are up there and they're they've got books, they've got stock, they're great games, and they're trying to move it, and I'm not talking about the guys with all the used stuff who are going from con to con, although I feel as if they provide a great service as well.
Sure. Yeah.
But
yeah.
I'm talking about all the, we talk a lot about third party creators, and they're going to cons to play their games and hopefully make a little money back, because after a few talks I was involved in, bro, if you want to eat, don't become a game designer.
No.
These guys are working pretty hard. So yeah, keep a con small. Yeah, right, Chubby.
Yeah, exactly.
It's great to keep the cons small, but I would also like to see cons really, be of monetary value to those creators and not be an expense. So,
and I think North Texas Con, like, again, I think for this space, this chunk of the hobby, this sliver of the hobby, however you want to describe it, is like almost the perfect con. Like, I would like to see it a little bit bigger, but I don't want it to balloon out where you're just like in a sea of flesh, sweaty, nasty gamer dudes, and it's just like nothing. But
let's do our own in Austin.
You want to do well? If you feel like losing money for a few years,
I think we should just rent like one room, one big room, right? And just tell everybody to come down. Just one big room. How much could one big room for like a weekend?
Having gone to big room cons where there is north of 1,500 people in one large hall, I can tell you it
would only be people who know us. There'd be like 10 people there, bro.
So we're definitely not going to make any money.
No, we're not going to make any money.
All right,
that's why I got into this. For the chicks and the money.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, with that said, Brian, any last thoughts?
I just want to say again and just reinforce, after almost 5-6 years of us relating, getting a chance to catch up, the three of us, I really enjoyed it. We spend a lot of time sometimes giving each other hell and vetting ideas and sometimes challenging schools of thought on the whole hobby. And then sometimes we just sit there and we're like, man, that was fun. That was fun. Why was that fun? And it's 3 different reasons on why it was fun. And that's pretty validating to spend time with you guys and say, wow, yeah, this is how we connect. Meeting so many cool people was just tremendous. I did not hesitate. I got a bonus from my company for 5 years.
Word.
And I was like, I spent already 100 and something of it buying my ticket for next year. And yes, if you're thinking about it, North Texas Con is absolutely the perfect medium to be able to go enjoy. Having been to the big cons, having my own desire to run at cons now, it's reignited a part of me that's been dormant for over 20 years. And so I'm looking forward to doing my part to help facilitate the con experience. But I love seeing you guys. It was great. Really, really good.
Love seeing you guys too. First time in the same room, same state in the 5 years I've known you. It was awesome. You guys are friends, brothers. You know what I mean? So with that, I guess our watch has ended. Everyone, thanks for stopping by. Those of you we saw at the con, it was great to see you. Next week, we're going to have Rob Alderman on. Eventually, Alchemic Raker is going to be on, I think, in another 2 weeks after that. We got a bunch of people interested in being on the show. This summer is going to be awesome. So everyone, have a great rest of your weekend. Great Father's Day. Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day, Gary.
And thank you.
Happy Father's Day to everybody. Yeah.
And we will see you next week. Take care, everyone.
Later, guys.
Dude, get up. I think I heard something.